Good morning, channel friends. Hi. We'll do it your way today.
Yes.
You choose the wallpaper.
Yes.
Or shall I choose it?
Let's decide together.
These three pieces, let's say, are among the most, unfortunately, thrown away. They're the kind of furniture that usually ends up at the landfill because they belong to our grandparents. And when you sell the house or need to renovate your grandparents' place, unfortunately, they end up at the landfill. Well, in my opinion, they actually have incredible potential because thanks to their shape, their legs, the mirror, they can look really, really good even in modern, contemporary homes, even in the homes of young people moving in together, newlyweds. Or a young woman moving out on her own, for example. There are loads of alternatives, but you just need to find the right key and avoid falling into the trap of patina, of antiquing colors, of adding a decorative molding, and that's it. On this type of smooth, linear, square furniture, some techniques don't work well, but other types of techniques do look good. So now we're going to work on it, starting from a very glossy base. As you can see, it's plastic coated, and we'll begin by doing a lot of ABA cleaning, because they're really dirty. As you can see, even inside the bedside tables there's a bit of everything, but that's normal. They've been left empty for many years, so we'll start with cleaning and show you how we modernize this set of three. Let's get started. While Emma is vacuuming inside the furniture, I'm preparing the solution for cleaning. Here I've got about 3 liters of hot water, baking soda, you need a few spoonfuls, and ammonia. Roughly, for this amount, I add 3 glasses. 3. Please remember, you don't have to do all the cleaning in one go. You make a bucket of our bar solution, give it a good stir, start washing, and if the water gets dirty, you throw it out and make a fresh batch. A sponge that, of course, is slightly abrasive, a regular dish sponge, and you start by removing the shiny film that's on top of our furniture. Because our bar not only degreases and purifies, but it also makes the surface slightly porous. So we can be absolutely sure that we have an extremely gripping surface. However, it's very important that our bar is never too wet, too runny, or too damp, because otherwise the furniture could potentially suffer as a result. So please, always make sure the sponge is wrung out really well. Obviously, in just a bit we'll go and rinse, and we'll rinse with a very well wrung out microfiber cloth. So we clean thoroughly, vacuum thoroughly, and in a moment we'll see exactly how to rinse. Everything's been taken apart. Our bar has been done everywhere. Now it's time to rinse. Microfiber cloth, damp and wrung out. I rinse it under water, wring it out again, and start over. And you rinse all the surface thoroughly, even several times if needed. This white film you see here on top is our bar. It's the baking soda that stops on the surface. So, if you don't rinse before painting, if you don't remove this film, it stays there and that's not good. It also affects the paint's ability to adhere. So please, rinsing is absolutely essential and mandatory. I rinse everything thoroughly and then we can get started.
Now let's remove the handles so we can polish them. I'll start by unscrewing the nuts. Voila, and I'll hand it over to her, who will polish it.
I've already polished one, and just look at how amazing it is. I didn't go for the classic cleaning with vinegar and salt, but instead I used sandpaper, really quick, just an abrasive sponge to smooth surfaces. Look, first of all, I sand it lightly, removing that bit of rust that has formed on the surface. And then, with my steel wool and a couple of drops of jasmine oil, I polish it even more, like this. This way, I achieve perfection. Look, a handle that's as good as new in just 2 seconds. We'll do this to all of them. We need to create a custom color. Why? Because this wallpaper I've chosen, against your advice.
Yes.
I like it and it's perfect for this restyling. Hold it over there. Why don't you see it as perfect for this restyling?
No, I really like it for this restyling. I'm just not a big fan of these colors. Probably the same thing in other colors I would have liked more, but I approve.
But I do like it, and I listened to you when you gave me the right mix to recreate the color for the body of the furniture, didn't I? So let's give credit where credit's due. I chose the paper, she chose the color. With a London Fumé base color. I'll add a drop of Brocante to recreate that shade of grey with a slight blue-green tint, which is the tone of Brocante, and to create the perfect texture for the base of our furniture, our trio. Let's take a brush and start our mixture. Tell me when to stop. I'll put it in the bowl. So, at least we have enough. I'll add all of it. Yes. We have enough to use it with both the brush and the roller. Let's take everything down carefully so that nothing at all is wasted. You know we really hate waste in all ways. And now let's add a little drop of Brocante. Stir it in. I just go by eye. You know I don't like weighing things. And I also know I'll be able to make it the same again by adjusting as I go. Obviously, if you're not used to this, you can weigh it. So for 100 grams of grey, let's say I'll add about 10 grams of Brocante. Shall I go for it? Shall we try it like that? Let's try it, give it a stir. I love mixing with a brush because it blends much better than any kind of stick. Obviously, the Brocante will slightly lighten the London Fumé and once dry, will give it that bluish-greenish sheen. I think we can add a little more. We've put in about 3 spoonfuls, so that's 6 spoonfuls of green, more or less. By now, I've got the spoon in my mind's eye. By not weighing things and just going by feel, you develop the knack and understand how much to dilute. We might be there. Shall we do a test?
Let's do it.
This is the test we did earlier to see if the color was right, and it's the one I approved. Let's see now. Very similar. The only difference is that this one is still wet, while that one is already dry. So is it that easy to recreate the same color even after some time? Yes, it's easy, so don't bother weighing. Just do it by eye, it turns out well. I like it. Shall we see if it works with the wallpaper? Yes, take the paper. This one's already dry, this one's wet, and as you can see, it's perfect with the paper. Let's get started. Emma, with the small architecture, does all the edges. Let's start with the frame of the chest of drawers. I with the short pile roller. Specially prepared, start spreading it over the smooth, flat surface. This way, we'll get a lot done and faster. Of course, I use my tray, and without getting it dirty, as I add the plastic tray refill. That way, I can work well and quickly. It's important, mind you, not to press down on the roller. You shouldn't press it to squeeze it out, because it actually works less effectively that way. Instead, if the roller runs out, just reload it. This is a small wooden indentation, which I like. Maybe we should leave it as is. What do you think? Yes, it's nice. Smooth it out so there are no inconsistencies, so the paint is spread evenly over the whole drawer. This restyling needs to be really smooth, velvety, and perfect. Voila, let's let it dry properly. Let's start with the second coat. I've remade the color, and if you come and have a look, you can't tell the difference. Obviously, the paint I'm applying is still wet, while the paint on the furniture is already dry. But I can assure you that once dry, it will be completely identical. I keep applying it with the roller, and Emma continues to spread it with a brush to make it faster. Voila! Easy and fast. So, remember, if you have large or smooth furniture, always use the roller. Roller and brush together, that way it turns out even better. With Monsieur in the wall version, I do the whole inside of the furniture, so the bedside tables and the drawers. Why do I choose the wall version? Because with just one coat I cover. With just one coat, I also scent the inside of the furniture, and it's water repellent and washable. So I don't need to apply a second coat of color or a protective layer. And it works well on all surfaces, because it adheres both to the shinier part, like this base, and to the raw wood underneath. Look, just one coat and everything is perfect. Hooray for Magic Wall! Matte protective coating everywhere before applying the wallpaper on the drawers. It won't interfere anyway. I chose it because I don't want any shine, brightness, or color reflections to show. So I want it to be completely non-existent, this protective coating. I put a bit in the tray because I apply it with a roller. This time I use the medium nap roller while I continue with the small brush for details. I dilute it directly in the tray. Just a bit, about 20%. We mix it a little and off we go to protect. Let me start from the top part, where Emma has done the sides. You must never press down on the roller. Please remember, always keep in mind that what you're applying needs to self-level. So it's important to understand that now we're applying it. When it dries, it will become completely transparent, but this orange peel effect will disappear. So you don't need to have these worries when using the roller. The important thing is not to press down. When there's nothing left to give, you change it, meaning you go to the tray, load it up, and pick up more product. You take the protective coating or color, whatever you need, and start again. The more you press down on the roller, whether it's with color or protective coating, the more visible the marks will be. I used to think that pressing would save product, but it's actually the opposite. The more you press the roller, the more marks you'll see, and the finish won't look good. So I reload the roller and make sure the protective coat levels itself out over the whole surface. Final touch. Now I'll let the top part dry and carry on. Water, powdered glue, and we create the wallpaper paste. I put about 2 fingers worth of water in this bowl, cold water. I sprinkle the powdered glue in. Meanwhile, keep stirring. It's very easy to prepare this glue. Always remember one thing, while you're adding it, you also need to remember to let it rest. If you let it rest, it becomes nice and gelatinous, soft and velvety, and the lumps dissolve. Actually, we should stop when it starts to get a bit cloudy. How much have I put in so far? About a tablespoon for 2 fingers worth. A teaspoon. It's already quite cloudy, but I'd add just a drop more. Because in my opinion, with the wallpaper we have today, which is still fairly thick, having a slightly thicker glue helps us. So remember, before you make yourself a coffee, prepare the glue. Let it rest for 10 minutes, of course. After stirring it with the brush, go have a coffee, and when you come back, it'll be perfect for starting to glue the paper. We've already cut the wallpaper because, at least being in sections, it's perfect and precise. For this piece of furniture, it's easier to make it stick to the surface. But now Emma is helping me glue. I've put it in this nice little jar, so I don't waste any, and I spread it over the whole drawer. I only put it on the surface, not on the paper. Always remember that you need to check the specifications of the paper and understand what it requires, whether it needs double glue application or not. Here. Now Emma helps me glue it precisely, so that we don't risk making a mess. Take it from there. I'm going this way. I'm good.
Me too.
Let's make sure it sticks well, just a little bit higher than before. It can also be carefully raised or lowered if necessary. Obviously, within just a few moments, it can't be done after half an hour. Voila! It will be absolutely essential to use a spatula to carefully eliminate any air bubbles that may accumulate underneath, both on one side and on the other, letting them out thoroughly. And even more importantly, take a clean, damp microfiber cloth and wipe the paper with it to remove any glue stains that may have gotten on the surface. Don't worry, because wallpaper is quite durable, it's thick, so it won't get damaged if you wipe it with a damp cloth. Next drawer. This restyling
Is finished too.
I really love it, especially because it would look great in house owned by young people. Because the colors are perfect for both him and her, and the modern shapes look great in any kind of setting. And now, with these shiny handles, it has a completely new look. In fact, if you look here, there's this little wooden groove, which was already there and we've kept it, that divides the wallpaper and basically frames it. And in my opinion, it's a refined, clean, neutral detail that really enhances the restyling. How many grandparents or aunts' houses had these pieces of furniture that aren't valuable because they're not actually vintage, right, Emma? You can't call this vintage, you can't call it a valuable piece, because it's not signed by any kind of artist. Anyway, they're not expensive furniture. But they are pieces that, once modernized with this kind of little leg and these features, become spectacular. Maybe don't copy the colors or the combinations, but remember not to throw these pieces away. Because you can make them perfect for your home. Not everything we show will be to your taste, whether it's the shades or wallpaper, but if you follow the furniture's shape, respect its era, and use the right touches, it can look spectacular in your home too. Don't throw them away. Shall we remind where to find our tutorials?
You can find them on Elisa and Magic Paint YouTube channel.
And where can they buy the products?
On the magicpaint.it website.
The new magicpaint.it website. Because there aren't two anymore, now there's just one. Beautiful, renewed, cool. Actually, it's not revamped. And there you'll also find our stockists, listed by region. So you can find the most skilled one, the friendliest one, anyone you like who's closest to you, or maybe even the one you come across on your way to the seaside. Because lots of people do exactly that. While heading to the seaside, they stop at Magic Paint stockists and find the only Italian website selling magic paint. LSIRhome.com no longer exists. Magicpaint.it is now the single site for everyone. Obviously, you won't find magic paint on Amazon, but even the stones know that by now. Goodbye.